You ever had a realisation that you've lost something? Something you can't name, something you can't put in a bucket, not your job, not your family, not your favourite mug, something deeper. That edge that you used to have. I did. That spark that made me sharp, unstoppable. And one day I realised it had dulled, like this axe. Not overnight, slowly, as if this axe was left out in the rain. I wasn't broken, but I was drifting, and I didn't even see it happening. For me, it started after I left the Marines. Life got louder. Work, bills, distractions. The mission changed, but I hadn't. I kept pushing like I used to, but something felt off. I could still run, I could still lift, still grind, but the fire behind it had gone. I was maintaining, not growing. Existing, not living. My eyes went, my hearing got worse, even my arms felt bony and weak. And one morning, I looked in the mirror and thought, mate, you've lost your edge. And that hit me hard. Because I'd built my whole life on that edge. A confidence people could feel. So I went looking for a way to get it back. Not by reading more quotes or watching hype videos, by figuring out what actually makes a man feel alive again. Here's what I learned. You don't just lose your edge because you get older. You lose it because it's done so much and you haven't sharpened it. As we get older, our life often becomes more comfortable. As we become more successful, or the years of neglecting some aspects of our lives finally catches up on it. I experienced both of these. I was also dealt an additional blow with chronic fatigue after a certain global vaccine programme. Let's leave it at that. That's like your wife chopping kindling on a stone or cutting the veg without a chopping board. It all feels inevitable, but it's not. You just need to get the file out, get the oil stone out and sharpen it. And that's what I want to show you today. How I started finding my edge again, one small step at a time. This is what helped me rebuild. It's really simple, 4 steps that give us a framework to a sharper edge again. That framework is EDGE. E is evaluate where you are. The first step was brutal honesty. I had to stop pretending I was fine, but also decide it was acceptable. So I sat down and wrote 4 words on a page. Body, mind, mission, and connection. And I scored myself 1 out of 10 in each. No filters, no excuses, just truth. It's like checking your kit before a patrol. If you don't know what's missing, you'll get caught short later. For me, I realised my body was okay now. I'd done a ton of work getting my health back after the chronic fatigue, and I can share that process with you if you want. So, let me know in the comments and I'll make that video next if it's something you're after. But my head and my purpose were way off. That's where I started. The D is discipline and direction. So next I stopped waiting for motivation. Motivation's like NOS in a car. Quick blast and crash. Wait around until it appears again. But discipline is like diesel. I started with a simple rule. If something took less than 3 minutes, I did it right away. That tiny act rebuilt momentum. I have a morning routine, an evening routine, a weekly routine. I started valuing sleep again. I made time for reflection and reconnecting with the stuff that recharges me. Routine became my medicine. It gave structure back to chaos. It showed me how I was making progress. I suddenly had direction. And the funny thing, once you have direction, energy flows. G is growth and grit. So then came growth, not the pretty kind, the painful kind. I forced myself back into discomfort. I hadn't had a commute, had to attend business meetings for years, but I embraced them. Got back to the long runs, conversations I'd been avoiding, because comfort kills more men than exhaustion ever will. And every time I did something hard, I felt a bit more like me again. Grit isn't about suffering. It's about discovering what you can handle. And that's where the quiet confidence comes from. Not the macho, overcompensating bullshit. just knowing if the car broke down, you could run the 10 mile back home. Literally, if everything in your life collapsed like mine has 3 times in my life, you can handle it. Now here's where it got interesting for me. When some blokes hit this stage, they swing hard in one direction or the other. Some go deep into spirituality. Nothing wrong with that. My wife's a shamanic healer and she's incredible. I love the ancient wisdom side of things, connection to nature, the reflection. But I'll be honest, a lot of it just doesn't feel like my path. A bit too soft, too floaty, too feminine for how I'm wired. And then there's the other camp, the chest thumping, grind hard, alpha male stuff. That out tough everyone mindset, that never felt right either. I've raced against them, I've played rugby against them, even gone to war with people like that, and seldom do they live up to all the hype and the shit hits the fan. I sit somewhere in the middle. I like quiet confidence, simple strength, stoicism, the idea that you can be grounded and kind, disciplined and humble, all at the same time. So that's where I built from. Not soft, not hard, just steady, a leader. That to me is what real balance looks like. It's not finding extremes, it's holding your line in the middle. E is emerge with purpose. I started to feel that spark again. Not from chasing big goals, but from doing small things that actually mattered. Purpose isn't found in a book or a quote. It's rebuilt through motion, through showing up. And when you do that long enough, you stop trying to prove yourself and you start leading yourself. That's when you find your edge again. I used to think midlife was a crisis. Now I see it as a checkpoint, a moment to ask, who am I going to be for the next 50 years? Losing my edge wasn't failure. It was an invitation to evolve. And if you're there right now, feeling flat, lost, restless, mate, you're not done. If this has hit home, I write a short weekly email, I call it the Field Notes, where I share real stories and lessons like this one. No fluff, no spam, just honest talk about rebuilding discipline, getting clarity and building some resilience. And you'll find a link in the description if you want to join. And in the next few weeks, I'll drop the edge assessment. It'll show you exactly where your edge is dulling down and where to focus next. You can grab a pen, start where you are. Let's get that edge back. If you're constantly looking for motivation, you're in your 40s and you're really struggling, feeling a little bit lost, you might want to check out this video where I talk a little bit about motivation.